Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time once again as XRL X3 is set to get underway with its first round qualifying in 30 seconds time, actually less than 30 seconds time here. I'm your host for today's race, Insane Lear 13. Also joining me today is XRL Torpedo. Torpedo, I'm sorry I wasn't able to get an invite to you earlier. I was struggling trying to join in, you know. New game, new problems. No, yeah, let's keep the spoilers for that to a minimum because, you know, I want everyone to feel the smugness when the second best engine manufacturer gets a win, so. Also, when you were talking about problems that the drivers will be facing today, I got to talk with some people after the dev race and then after the test race for the XRL, the Realistic League, as it looks like XRL Breezy is going to be the first person on to the racetrack. I'm going to say XRL so much today that it won't sound like a real term by the time this race is over. But anyways, yesterday I got to talk with some of the drivers. A lot of them were saying that in F1 2020, a big issue was oversteer, and Breezy goes around in our first spin of the season. Well, that didn't take long, did it? Well, as I was saying, maybe I can get it out of my head this time, but a lot of the drivers are talking to me saying that in F1 2020, a lot of people felt like there was a big issue regarding oversteer, and you wanted to stay off the curbs because it could spin you around. Now they're saying there's still the issue with the curbs. If anything, the curb problem has gotten worse, but now there's a lot of understeer, and that a fully fueled car in the last game compared to a low fuel car in this game will be a massive difference because the underfueled car in this game would still have less turning. Something seems to have happened to Pingu. He's back underway now, but it's not gonna help. So already 2 instances, and we're not even a full 2 minutes through this qualifying session. No one's even started their first flying lap yet. This could be a great chance for veterans who've just not had a lot of success, people like Collie Boy or Pingu or Boothie, to actually start bringing some success home. But a big element is that for a lot of those drivers, they've been among the fastest for X3 for at least 2 years. Well, 2 seasons. A season XRL isn't quite a year. But for at least 2 seasons, but it's not meant anything because the big issue for a lot of them is that just they've struggled to be able to finish races. Well, a big difference from last season to this season also is that last season was a unique case. We ran a truncated 15-race season with the season calendar very much randomized, and a lot of big hitting tracks like Suzuka and Monaco were not on the season whatsoever. As Mantic Meerkat sits the first qualifying lap of this season with a 127.314, now we are back to a 20-plus race season emulating the actual length of a proper Formula 1 calendar, you can afford to have a slightly slow start this season and still bounce back late in the year. So I'm not saying that will happen, but that opportunity is absolutely available this year. Make a fair point, but I personally would prefer to see Monaco a little bit later in the season, so that way drivers are a little bit more confident in the way that their cars are before you get to what may be one, if not the toughest track on this calendar. So, but that's just me. There are many different ways to look at, you know, how a schedule should be made. So, and I can't really critique any of them because they all have their own viabilities. And it looks like, once again, that's Schold who has gone off at the downhill sections of Sector 2 in the Haas. So that's 2 Haas incidents going downhill after Turn 4. And once again, I do want to talk about Bahrain. A big element. Oh, and there's another guy who's gone around. I think that is Breezy. Yes, that's Breezy who has spun off there in the second to last corner. One thing I do want to talk about when it comes to this circuit, Bahrain, is Boy now goes to the top with a 126.719, is that Bahrain, particularly the second sector, is an absolute wonderful thing as Breezy goes around coming out of the final corner. So it's going to be one of these seasons where I can't get a single thing out because the drivers just insist on taking the screen time. And you know what? That's the way it should be. You know... Plastic Love and the Red Bull coming out of the final corner now. One issue that is plaguing this game is sound issues. Like right now, we're riding on board with Plastic Love. And I think he's going to have to fill the cracks in the sound of his engine with fancy high heels and plenty of dresses, because there's no proper engine sound coming out of that thing right now. Yeah, it's so weird because you can hear the turbo spooling, and you can hear the DRS charging up and activating, but beyond that, it's almost nothing. It's so bizarro. But yet, I go ahead to Bucks, who is in the Mercedes machine. Perfectly normal engine sounds. Although I will notice, that's something I've noticed after watching the XRL Dev race yesterday and broadcasting XRL yesterday, the sounds of the ERS system in general and the turbo seem to be significantly louder in this game compared to the last two. The drivers who are in the Williams right now are currently... Do we not have any Williams drivers on the track right now? I'm pretty sure one of them is. Yeah, Breezy is in the Williams. I think he's the only Williams representation for today's event thus far, as only 18 drivers have signed up for the event today. Speaking of Breezy, he is now beginning to merge back onto the racetrack, going for another lap. At this point, as we normally will say, and Books is about to lap who's in the middle of, so he's going to have to go around. Mr. Anderson in the Aston Martin has just begun his flyer lap. So, 18 drivers, the top 15 will advance into Q2. Right now, we only have 11 people who have set lap times in the session. So, we're not yet, and another Red Bull has gone around. And that one is Breezy. That's not a Red Bull. They changed the color of a bunch of the cars, so we have way too many blue cars. That is the Williams of Breezy who has gone around, coming out of turn 4. I think that's like the third different spin that Williams has had thus far in this session. Yeah, he still has the 6th fastest lap thus far, but it's not gonna say great. Not gonna look great if that's how it's gonna be going forward. Constant Jet in the Alpine has invalidated the lap he's in the middle of. Mr. Anderson is likely to be the next person, the 12th driver, who will set a lap time here. He only has 2 sectors left. He's got a purple sector 2. He's now on the run down those last straightaway. No DRS on this final straightaway here at Bahrain, so you're going to have to cope with all the aerodynamic drag that machine has. You're not going to have any helpful band-aids like DRS going down that. Now as he crosses the line, he will jump to second, 1:26.808, and then Bucks goes by right after him with 1:26.802. Okay, so second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, all within 0.08 of each other right now. So that could get very, very interesting once we get to qualifying section 2 and they all start trying to figure out, okay, who's going to be running mediums, who's going to be running softs. Schumacher SF7 is running the Ferrari, as a Schumacher rightly should. You know, drivers with the name Schumacher deserve to drive Benetton's, Ferraris, or Williams. So he's trying to get a lap going right now as he has exited Sector 1, entered Sector 2 now. Pingu and Fratters are the other 2 drivers currently out on circuit. Fratters is in the McLaren. The McLaren has had success in XRL X3 before, but Fratters has a brand new teammate in the form of Mantic Meerkat this season. It'll be interesting to see how the 2 of them jive well, because one of the things that have brought McLaren success in the prior seasons is that the drivers do not fight very much, but Fratters is finding the circuit as he spins on the downhill. He gets back underway, no issue. Thankfully, there was no one around him either. In fact, hilariously enough, it looks like this lap may actually stay clean because of that. So that's kind of hilarious to look at. And Breezy in the Williams goes to the top now with a 1:26.467. So, you know, at Curiosity Torpedo, I'm sure you remember Ozda, right? Really, really fast, but very accident prone. Well, I think Ozda, you know, he's advanced up to X2. I think we found our Ozda replacement in XRL Breezy now. Very accident and spin prone, but apparently one of the faster drivers here right now. Alright. Yeah, we're not even through the first true session of any value yet. Maybe I should be, you know, calming my horses down a bit, but I will admit, I'm extremely excited to be back here. Fratters crosses the line, and that lap plus a spin is a 1:36.146. He's going to go for another shot at it. Constant Jet and Fiend in the Alpines are both on out laps right now. So, but yeah, I'm just really excited to be back with X3. I've really missed these guys. I think X3 brings the best kind of racing you can get in XRL. You get drivers who know what they're doing, but there's issues when it comes to, you know, proper execution, and that always leads to a lot of really, really crazy scenarios as these races go on. I've watched X2, I've watched X1, and they're great. They have great drivers in those series, but I always will like X3 over X2 and X1 simply because the ability for drivers to perfectly capitalize on mistakes of others or themselves is up in the air, and that kind of variance brings a lot of interest to the race. Alright, so at this point, the driver who is on the bubble is TIR Flavor. I got to see him during yesterday's race. He was running the Mercedes in the XRL event, and that is someone who's gone up. That's Dave Ewart, who has also had a spin off circuit in Sector 2. He's merged back on. It doesn't look like he's going to end up harming anyone else this time. I'm waiting for the camera to change to see if there's any damage on his Alpha. Nope, no damage, so he should be able to continue per normal. But, oh, and it looks like Fratters has improved up to 127.900. So Schold in the Haas is now the driver on the bubble, 128.782. Tier Flavor is just jumped ahead, so Flavor has improved to a 128.018. So now Pingu in the Haas is on the bubble. Schold is on the outside looking in. Constant Jet is in the middle of a lap, and Fiend is in the middle of a lap as well. So those two could still play havoc for the Haas's right now. And at the line, Constant Jet will set a lap time of 1:27.440. Breezy is retired from the session. He feels no need to continue turning laps. I'm watching Fiend as he's diving through this two-stage final corner here in that Alpine. Pops open that rear wing DRS at the line. He'll set a time of 1:26.251. That's a very capable time. Now both of the Haas's are outside, as is TIR Flavor, and Fratters is back on the bubble. Fratters has jumped into the pit lane, as has TIR Flavor. There's just a little bit more than 3 minutes left, so I think those two will have just enough time to get in the pits, put new fuel and tires on to go again, because the fight to make it into Q2 is very much on. The two Haas's of Pingu and Schold are out on circuit right now, but Schold is invalidated on his outlap. It's not going to matter too much, but hopefully he doesn't let that cause a problem for him. The Russian-sponsored Haas coming now into the last corner. He'll begin his flying lap. We're going to go ahead and be silent in the booth for a full lap so you can hear what a lap around here at Bahrain is like. And Collie Boy has gone out of the race. Out of the race of the session. Collie Boy has had an accident, and that was with the 5th. And that is a time right now. He has been dropped down to 15th in the board with that accident. That car is destroyed on the exit of that first hairpin in Sector 2. Pingu might get a shot at him in just a second. And no, he's already gone, sadly. But now, Flavor, Pingu, and Schold need to not only beat Fratters' time, but they also need to find a way to get ahead of Collie Boy so they don't get eliminated with him. Pingu is up by nearly half a second at the end of Sector 2. As he's making the run down the main straight, Schold is just a little bit farther back on the circuit, but Pingu is going to jump up into 14th, so he pushes Fratters out right now. Fratters on the outlap, as is TIR Flavor. Schold is up by 1.2 seconds, so Schold might be able to pull out a massive lap. He just needs to not make a mistake in this final corner. Hit his marks on exit. 13th, and that pushes Pingu back out. So now Pingu is back on the outside. Constant Jet is at risk of potentially getting kicked out. Fratters has gone around on his lap. And there's only 30 seconds left, so I think Fratters is done. His spin, that's the second spin we've seen McLaren have in this session, and that spin will mean that this lap has no chance of being competitive. TIR Flavor is coming down to the start-finish line to begin a flying lap on his end now. It's not gonna look very good for him. Again, I have to wonder if Pingu cooled down thinking that the lap time he set was gonna be good enough, and then his teammate showed up at the last minute and blew it away, and he had to kind of fight to try and make back ground. And that fight might have started a little bit too late for him. At the line, he's down by a 10th. It's not gonna work. Pingu is not gonna advance. Fratter is gonna go around. That's 2 spins in a lap for Fratters. TIR Flavor is the driver that has the only chance left of making it, but I don't know how far up he is going to be in that AlphaTauri. He's up, but it's only by 14 hundredths. That's not going to be enough to get him into the next round. That might get him over Fratters, though, but still, he won't advance into Q2. Unless he pulls a lot of time out of this final corner, which I don't see happening. He yapped up to 17th, 127.627, so he was improving, but he seems to be having a rough time trying to adapt right now in X3. So that's it for him, and it's Mr. Anderson who has caused the rest of the field much trouble with his 125.888. As the qualifying session 1 has come to a close, the drivers who will not advance: Fratters, TIR Flavor, XRL Pingu, and Collie Boy. Constant Jet retired on a gamble and ended up working out. So he has, tires to spare, and he will make it in. It will only be 14 drivers in qualifying session 2 as well because of Collie Boy's accident. So a very, very interesting scenario as we're going to go into qualifying session 2. Alright, so as we go ahead and bring up the telemetry. So right now it seems like a relatively even split between mediums and softs. Actually, the tide's turning a little bit more in the favor of the mediums. So the interesting thing that always happens in Q2, because you only have about 15 minutes to do this, and it looks like it's going to be Boothie who's going to try and be the first car to get onto the circuit. The interesting thing that always happens in Q2, drivers will think long-term strategy. They want to start on a medium tire compound. So they'll go out, they'll turn laps on the mediums, and then typically in the last 6 minutes, sometimes as late as the last 30 seconds we've seen it happen, drivers will suddenly realize, oh crap, my time on the mediums won't be good enough to get me into Q3, and they'll throw away their strategy for a potential chance at a better race start. They'll jump on softs to potentially invalidate their medium laps, and it causes a flurry of action. One guy does it, and then 13 other guys seem to do it at the same time. Usually not actually 13 other times, but it seems like that sometimes. Right now, Mantic Meerkat, XXX Books, XXX, XRL Gusty, and Schumacher SF7 seem to be the only drivers right now who seem to be content with running on softs for the start here. Of note, Meerkat is also right on track a little bit behind Boothie, and if the softs are fast enough, he might run the risk of catching Boothie, and Boothie could end up holding up the McLaren's lap just a bit. Alright, so now Boothie and Mantic Meerkat are both beginning their flying laps. Dave Ewart is going to be the third driver who will try and begin a lap here. I'm going to be very interested to see if Meerkat ends up catching Boothie, because where he's going to catch him is going to be an area that's not going to help out. And actually, Boothie's going to pull over, so Boothie will throw away that lap so Meerkat can get a flyer lap. Good sportsmanship between the drivers. As Meerkat now begins the dive through Sector 2, this first part, all this downhill section, is all very much focused on mechanical grip and making sure the springs and shocks are all properly set up. Then you round this really tight corner, not quite a hairpin, it's a very tight corner, and there's been a spinner, and that's Breezy, who has had another spin. That's, what, the third, fourth spin he's had thus far? And he has had a spin coming out of Turn 3, but he is back underway now, but his first lap, not going to be the greatest. Shuffle says, I do not care about your P0s. He just wants to get back on track as quickly as reasonably possible. But anyways, Mantic Meerkat now on the round, and now another Haas. That is Schold. He's done the exact same thing the Mercedes just did of Stone Shuffle. And these are all these guys who are doing it are guys who are on the medium tire compounds. Dave Ewart crosses the line with a 128.669, so that's the fastest we've seen on the mediums thus far, and that's still 2.1 seconds slower than Mantic Meerkat's time. Breezy coming down to get a lap, but again, he had a spin, so this lap is going to be significantly slow. And although it will go on the boards, it won't actually be what he is happy with, I imagine. Constant Jet, 128.651. Books, second highest. Oh, and Dave Ewart has just had an accident, and he's out. Well, yesterday in XRL, it was the McLarens that kept getting into instance. Today, it seems to be the Alphas. Trying to see if I can get a view. Yeah, Ewart completely off circuit there in the downhill sector of Sector 2. I'm gonna try. Would you want to try and get him in here for an interview? Now, a lot of people are going to have to try and beat will be Dave Ewart's at 128.669. Otherwise, Dave might end up bringing a lot of drivers out with him. It'll be very interesting. Same guy is on an out lap right now. Plastic Love is on the lap. All right.
Hello.
Yeah. Dave, go ahead, include your video. An accident takes you out in qualifying session 2. What happened there?
I was just going round, I put a wheel on the curb and just went in spectacular fashion.
Alright, well, you and your teammate both involved in accidents in Q1 and Q2. Do you think you guys can recover in the race itself?
Yeah, hoping to do an Ocon today, let everyone go ahead and crash in the first corner and drive round, so we'll see what happens.
Mate, one other question. Have you, what would be your opinion on the difference in physics from the last game F1 2020 to this game F1 2021?
Yeah, there's a massive difference. You can feel the cars a lot easier to spin. It feels a bit heavier. It's heavier as well in the corners. You brake a little earlier. So yeah, there is a big difference. It'll probably take a few races to see the true pace from everyone.
Alright, so I just want to ask, would you be willing to expand? You say the cars are a little bit easier to spin. In what way? Is the nose gripping too much and kind of whipping the car all the way around? Is the rear not gripping enough and causing the rear to step out? Is it just issue with the car spinning, putting the throttle down? What exactly is making these cars easier to spin in this game compared to the last one?
Yeah, the rears just aren't gripping as heavy, especially on the long right-hander. In Bahrain, you can feel the car start to slide out from the back as you're going round. You need to lift off a little just to get round. And the curbs are torture, so it's, if you go into put the throttle down on one of the corners, you're guaranteed you're going round.
Thank you very much for sharing your knowledge and understanding. We look forward to you hopefully regaining pace and ability in the race itself.
Thanks. See ya.
Alright, XRL Fiend has crossed the line with a 127.351. We are now at the point in the race where 11 drivers have set a lap time, but the interesting thing to watch is going to be Schold, Breezy, and Dave Ewart, because Breezy is in the middle of an out lap right now, as is Schold. Both of them had spins on their first flyer lap and had to abort. Right now, Schold is in, Breezy is out, as is Dave Ewart. But Schold and Breezy both will improve when they actually get laps in that, haven't included spins. Schumacher in the Ferrari is also in the middle of a lap on the run down to the final corner right now.
Also interesting as well that Brooks is top of the timesheets right now. On the softs, on the 26.281. Oh, Schumacher goes fifth, 1 minute 27.443.
That's a full second ahead of Plastic Glove. Plastic Glove currently 9th fastest. And if drivers were to start going faster than Dave Ewart, then Plastic Glove would run the risk of being on the bubble. The good news is Dave Ewart's time that he had when he crashed out is not super competitive compared to the upper bit of the field like what we saw in Q1 at the end of Q1. So because of that, it's not going to be, I won't say it's going to be easy, but it won't be terribly hard for drivers like Schold, Breezy, Gusty, and Stone Shuffle to set times faster than Ewart. I'm watching Stone Shuffle right now as he is on the run downhill in that Mercedes. In Sector 2, again, this sector, all about mechanical grip. You run this really, really long right-hander, and then you go uphill. And again, it's still shock and suspension focus because you go over a crest and then through a really, really hard left-hand corner that tightens up almost immediately into a hairpin. Then it's all acceleration on this short straightaway here. You want to make sure you have good aerodynamic drag and good engine. Then you go uphill for several corners, and these corners are all about aerodynamic grip. And we see numerous drivers have spin on the exit. If they don't have the right line or the arrow's not set up right, that car will back around and go right around. Stone Shuffle, no issue thus far. It's a purple sector 2. He's on the final straight right now. This straightaway all about making sure that the engine can overcome the natural aerodynamic drag that the car has. Then you round this 2-stage final corner. It's like making a 90-degree corner at speed and then making an adjustment right afterwards. Stone Shuffle crosses the line on the mediums, 128.292. So as it is now, Plastic Glove is on the outside looking in. Constant Jet is on the bubble on the Alpines, but the change has begun to happen. Constant Jet has equipped soft tire compounds and is now on the way out onto the racetrack. Zen Guy has also equipped soft tire compounds as well. Schold is on the run down trying to set a better lap time, and Gusty is in Sector 2 trying to set his first lap time of this session as well. Schold up by 8 seconds and some change at the moment. At the line, 135.122. So he's still way off pace, so he must have had another spin or something on that lap. And he'll have to go again, and time is running out quickly. We already have less than 3 3/4 of a minute on the clock. Gusty in the Red Bull on the run down. His teammate Plastic Glove has currently got the 11th fastest time. Gusty's desperately going to want to improve and be better than that. And he does, 127.810. The interesting thing to watch, though, is going to be Constant Jet. He is on an outlap right now, but he has the soft tire compounds on. If he puts down a good lap, he could easily kick Stone Shuffle out of this running. Schumacher is in the pits, and they have equipped soft tire compounds on his machine also, but he's not yet made any motions to get out onto the racetrack. Zen Guy in the Ferrari with soft tire compounds is now on the way out onto the circuit. We're at about 2.5 minutes left, so this is the point where we would anticipate to start seeing drivers who are in pit lane starting to go through various alternate tire strategies. Plastic Glove is coming in now. Schold is coming across the line. He finally puts down a time of 128.204, but that's still not good enough to get him in. Constant Jet at the end of Sector 1 alone was up by nearly 8 tenths. Now he begins going uphill through the aerodynamic focused corners on the circuit. Park that car right on the curb and you can see the underbody sparking It's a purple sector too, so he's in a very, very good situation right now. Books, Mr. Anderson, and XRL Fiend have all retired from the session. They all feel that their times are good enough that they don't have to worry. Boothie is in the pits. Stone Shuffle is in the pits. I'm interested to see if either of them decide to put on softs. Meatrat has softs equipped. Constant Jet, second fastest time, 126.488. Plastic Love is coming out onto the circuit, but Plastic Love is coming out onto the circuit with medium tires. Shold is on a cooldown lap right now. He does not have a lot of fuel. Stone Shuffle is still in pit lane and has not yet made an effort to get onto the racetrack. Gusty is the driver on the bubble, 127.798, and he is down on time. His Sector 2 was faster than the last time, but overall, he's still down on time. Coming to the line, Gusty is going to abort and come into the pits with 30 seconds left. So the normal rush that we see of drivers throwing out their mediums to throw on softs didn't really happen. Schumacher did it, Zengai did it, and Constant Jet did it, but almost everyone else seemed relatively content to stick with the tires they had. Breezy is now retired from the session. Zengai has invalidated the lap he is in the middle of, so he's not going to get a chance to improve. Schumacher is on a lap. His last lap was a 127.443, and he's on another lap right now. Time is up in the session. I'll be interested to see if Schumacher improves, but for all intents and purposes, Q2 is over. The drivers who will not advance will be Dave Ewart with that early accident, Plastic Love, Shold, and Stone Shuffle. As it stands right now, it looks like it's going to be relatively evenly split. 5 drivers on medium, 5 drivers on softs for the start of the race in the top 10. As Schumacher comes across the line. What? What? Was I the only one who saw that? He just came to almost a dead stop there. That was weird. Now, I don't know if that was a driver strat or not, but anyways, so in the end, so Schumacher aborted his lap at the last possible moment, so that way he could actually start the race on mediums. So it's going to be Books, Constant Jet, and Mantic Meekrat. They will be the only drivers starting the race on softs. Mr. Anderson, Fiend, Schumacher, Boothie, Breezy, Zengai, and Gussie will all be starting on the medium tire compounds. Interesting strategy, but I don't know what the legality of that move would have been, coming to almost a dead stop in the middle of the straight. Yep. Neither Haas driver will make it into Q3, and that's going to be a hard blow for them, and neither Alpha will make it in either. on, game. Let's let them go on. I'm still not in Q3. Yeah, I don't know why... Surely they've advanced, right? Here, I'm gonna back out and then try to jump back in as a spectator again and see if that works. Oh, it's not letting me back out now. Esports ready, everyone. Yeah, I don't know. Would you be willing to try and test something real quickly? Go ahead and try to shut down your game and then start it back up, and I'll invite you back into the lobby and see if that can get you in or not. Because there's no way it's been this long before we get to Q3. Oh, so Fratters apparently has not got the race going. Okay, so it's not us at least, thank God. Hey-oh! Okay, well, I will say this will probably push the start of the race back a little bit. So, that was a extremely long, wait time, I will fully admit. Okay, so now the shootout for the pole begins. There's no more special head games. There can still be some head games, but nothing like what you see in Q2. It's all going to be who can put the fastest lap and make sure that their lap is also clean and valid. Heckin' valid. Oh, okay, Breezy, thank you. So, Breezy just teleported out of his pit box and down pit lane. So, yeah, he's so eager to get out onto the circuit that he is breaking the game itself in order to be there way before everyone else. Mantic Meatcrat is going to be a second person on track, and it's going to be Boothy who will be a third person. These three right now are the only three on the circuit. Now we're seeing one of the Alpines trying to make their way down, as are one of the Ferraris. Both Ferraris make it in to Q3. So good run by the Ferrari team, at least the factory Ferrari team, that is. Schumacher has not yet left pits, neither has Mr. Anderson, neither has Constant Jet, and neither has Book. Actually, I take that back. Books has just merged onto the racetrack itself in the factory Mercedes car. Alright, well, I tried doing this in Q1, didn't work out. But we have a car that actually has proper engine sound, so we're going to go silent and just ride on board a full lap with XRL Breezy and the Williams here at Bahrain to hear what it's like at this circuit in the new game. Hey, that was alright. And that humongous accident, Breezy is out of the event. He got a little bit aggressive going down. So this goes to Mantic Meatrat then. He will be the first person to set a lap in this session. Alright, well, we're gonna try. Is there anyone else who actually has proper engine sounds? Alright, you know what? I'm gonna abandon trying to get a proper onboard lap today, I guess. Unless we squeeze in the race, because it seems like, because of the engine sound glitches, it's just not possible. Anyways, Meatrat gets a time of 126.388. Books has just retired from the session in the same place on the racetrack, so the same thing that happened to Breezy has just happened to Books. Here, do you think you can get either of those two in the booth to hear what they have to say? That's... Bean goes to the top now with a 125.799. Mr. Anderson is behind his teammate Boothie, as Boothie is now on the run downhill. It's been Mercedes Power that's had accidents through there thus far twice. Alright, and now, coming into the broadcast booth is XRL Breezy. Breezy, can you hear us? Yeah, Breezy, go ahead, make sure your audio's included. Multiple spins, ending in a massive accident in Q3. What happened out there?
I don't know what the spins are about in Q3. I just had no grip or anything, but the crashes then clipped the curb on the outside the tiniest bit, and the car just went.
We've noticed that you seem to be having a little bit of trouble keeping that Williams nose pointed forward. Is it an issue with the setup, or just struggling to adapt to the new physics?
I think it's just my setup, to be honest. It just seems so like squiggly in the corners, get the traction down.
Alright, it's an absolute travesty. Now the other question is, you're still going to start at least 7th. We believe not 7th, at least 9th. So, do you think you can recover from that and get a podium finish?
Hopefully, fingers crossed. My race luck is not the best, but just wait and see what happens.
Alright, well, thanks for going ahead and sharing your thoughts with us. Sorry to see you out of Q3 so early on.
Cheers, guys. In a bit.
Well, that's the word from Breezy, who had that massive incident on the run downhill. Constant Jet's in the middle of an outlap, and Mr. Anderson is on a flyer. 6 of our 10 drivers have set lap times. Oh, and Mantic Meatrat has just had an accident. It's on the uphill sections, but it's significantly earlier than when we normally see it. That's strange. The good news, though, is that the McLaren already has set a lap time, so as long as he doesn't crash out, it's not like he's going to end up with a suddenly significantly worse run. Mr. Anderson, 104.880 at the end of Sector 2. Going down this last straightaway here. Final corner. And at the line, Bahrain, 126.082. So very, very competent right now in that Aston. Constant Jet is the only driver who has yet to set a time that hasn't either, hasn't crashed out yet. Everyone else, except for Anderson and Constant Jet, are in pit lane. However, it looks like Gusty is beginning to merge back onto the racetrack proper. The Sector 2 straightaway. And now he begins to go uphill in the Alpine. Oh, and he goes around and hard into the inside wall. But the damage is off the front suspension. However, time is running out fast. He's going to have to rush back into the pits, get a new wing, and get back out there as fast as possible if he wants a chance to start anywhere better than 10th. Both Aston Martins are out on the track right now, and Mr. Anderson on another lap. Boothie is on an out lap. But my focus is going to be on Gusty, because he is now beginning a flyer. Leaning hard on the ERS right now. Oh, and Mr. Anderson has just had an accident! And our second fastest driver has just had an accident in the same place. We saw two other Mercedes-powered cars crash out. So now you have to wonder if maybe the issue may have to do with an engine issue with the torque being applied too aggressively from the Mercedes power plants. Historically, in the prior games at least, the problem corners at Bahrain have been at the end of Sector 2, rushing uphill because drivers won't have their aerodynamics properly set up. Right now, though, it seems more like shock and suspension may be the issue, or, like I said earlier, it may be an issue with too much torque from the engine. Again, all three of the drivers we saw crash out there have been with Mercedes power. But with that said, we did see two Ferrari-powered cars, the two Alphas, crash out there in qualifying sessions 1 and 2. So I'm not saying that it's only a Mercedes problem, but it seems like a problem that's affecting Mercedes cars way more than any others. Gusty has now set the second fastest time, 126.074. And Constant Jet is on another outlap. And Fiend has had a spin. I missed it. He's back underway now, but Fiend had a spin on his outlap coming out of the pits almost right away. And Constant Jet's had another accident as he has gone extremely wide in the hairpin. Well, it seems like this season, at least at the start, is going to be a season of just avoiding accidents. I think we've seen more incidents in just Q1, 2, and 3 today than what we've seen in entire races in X3 before. Zingai on another flying lap. His best is a 126.567 right now. Boothie is on a flying lap as well. His best is a 126.949. Boothie will be able to improve to a 0.561, but he'll likely have to compete with Zingai and this guy here, Constant Jet. It is the last 44 seconds in the session. This is Constant Jet's last chance to set a proper lap time today. If he can just get it to the end without destroying the car and invalidating the lap, he will start at least 8th. But he may, just may, be able to start even higher than that if he can bring it home with a good lap. right now, the time's up over Plow, and Fiend indeed has gone quicker. He has broken the 125.8 barrier. So unless Constant Jet has been hiding something, I think it's going to be between Fiend and Schumacher for the top spot. Schumacher's still in Sector 2. I'm still focused on Constant Jet to see what time he can set. 104.806 at the end of Sector 2 for him. Boothie was not able to improve. Constant Jet up to 5th, 126.146. Now the focus is on Schumacher as he begins the run uphill. Schumacher is up by roughly a quarter of a second at the end of Sector 2. But that's not going to be enough to bring him in competition with Fiend. Wow, Fiend! Whoo! Fiend with a blistering lap at the very end there. Go ahead and run us down through the top 10. This is getting very interesting because the Alpine is going to be swamped by Ferrari right off the bat, and I'll be interested to see how team orders may or may not play out regarding the Ferrari drivers, if one would willingly let their run be sabotaged for the other to get a better shot at the race itself. But the qualifying session will officially end in about 23 seconds here, and then we'll have what will be roughly a 5-minute wait to race start itself. Alright, so now the big focus is going to be what will the drivers who are farther back in the grid decide, though, when it comes to their tire strategy. If they can get through the first laps without any damage, somebody who elects to start on a hard tire compound might take the risk of running long on the hards, jumping in, trying to make a real quick run at the end on the softs. It would be a very bizarre and unique strategy. However, it would leave them with a lot of clean air throughout parts of this race, and that could be extremely pivotal. So, again, just kind of waiting for a little bit to get underway here. Okay, so Bahrain, first race of the season. In real life Formula 1 for this year, the first race at Bahrain was very interesting because it really gave us an idea and showcased how, how Mercedes had regressed in relation to Red Bull. Although I think that regression has kind of gone away. Now here in this series, though, there's not a whole lot of difference between the cars. All the cars are brought to roughly the same performance level. It's all going to be driver ability and driver strategy and just doing with what you have. With that said, we have an interesting scenario again because top 5 of our top 10 will be starting on softs, the other 5 will be starting on mediums, and we don't know who outside of the top 10 might be starting on softs, mediums, or hards. We won't really get to see that until we get onto the track itself. Due to glitches in the prior game, XRL does not do warm-up laps, so that's the other element to it. Everyone is going to be starting on cold tires, and that leads to our other scenario. When you start on tires that are cold, there's going to be a slight difference between starting on cold tires that haven't been run on before and starting on cold tires that have had laps cycled through them. Cold tires that have already had laps turned on them are known as scuffs, and scuffed tires have the advantage that they will get back up to speed very quickly compared to the tires that have not had any laps put on them. However, as the race goes on, it's going to go the other way. The tires with less and less tire life early on will naturally go longer and longer than the ones that already had tire life on them. So there will be, again, a very, very small advantage on the long term for drivers who are starting 11th on back with fresh tires. But at the initial start of the race, we will still likely see a small advantage in the top 10 because they will have tires that will get up to heat a lot quicker than everybody else. And again, soft tires are going to be good for the first, maybe 6-7 laps here, and then those softs are going to start falling off and the mediums will begin coming into play. So that's kind of an idea of what we're looking at when it comes to tire strategy. The move that Formula 1 made in 2010 to ban refueling altogether has basically made it to where all pit strategy in a race is focused 100% on hitting gaps on the racetrack where no other drivers are at, and tire strategy. I am signed into Xbox Live F1. You don't have to worry about that. Let's see if I can join in real quickly here once the lobby is up. So this will also further push off the race start because everyone's going to have to get back into the proper tire state. But here's the other thing. So the advantage I was talking about when it comes to worn tires versus not worn tires, that's out the window now. Everyone's going to be starting on fresh rubber now. So that will be, in the long term at least, a slight advantage for the drivers in the top 10. It still puts a little bit of question for drivers 11th on back on who is or is not going to be running on softs, mediums, or hards. But still, this is going to change the race's outlook very slightly. Also, there have been exceptions. I've seen it happen before. But you're not supposed to have more than one lobby restart. If we start this race and have a massive accident on the first lap, that may be it. The drivers may have to cope. I'm reminded of Monaco in Season 2 of X3, where they had a big start, a big crash on the start. They immediately did a lobby restart, and on the restart, they had an even bigger one, a crash big enough that the pace car even got involved. And they said, we already did our lobby restart, we can't afford to do another one. So that could end up being an issue as well. You don't have a chance to recover from a potential mistake made by you or other drivers here at this point. Just staying by to get back onto the race itself now. Dave Ewart in the Discord is jokingly suggesting that they go ahead and reverse the grid. For those of us who are not here at the start of qualifying, he was the first driver to go out in quali, so, well, in Q2. So yeah, that would be a massive advantage for him. It would move him way up the order. But that's not going to happen. XRL in general likes to pride itself on minimizing gimmicks. And if there is going to be a gimmick, they, properly explore it all the way through before implementing it. Going to be a very late start to this race. It's taking a lot longer to get the lobby set up than I thought it would. Okay. Alright, 1 second. I'm gonna see, because I've not gotten an invite in either, so let me see if I can sneak in real quickly. I'm just gonna join in off. Oh, okay. Thank you. Well, technical issues seem to be hampering us right now. Wait, is it supposed to be on realistic performance? Oh, because on my screen it says realistic. This game is most definitely esports ready. We should have 18 drivers for this race. Just waiting on Plastic Glove. Kind of hard to fill up dead air like this. I've already gone through all of the implications and strategy and stuff. There's not a whole lot else I can say at this point. Then hopefully we should be able to get underway very quickly here. There we are. They're readying up now, so we should be underway very shortly here. Well, they better hope that nobody readies up early, because I've seen that screw these guys over before also. Alright, everyone seemed to ready up almost right away, except for Mr. Anderson. Oh, there he readies up! So wait, are we gonna go right onto the racetrack? That'd be great! That would mean that we're not, gonna wait another 5 minutes for what's already gonna be a late start. Again, unlike, practical Sky Sports coverage, we do not actually have contact with the drivers or the radios or anything like that while we're here. We're basically in our broadcasting booth practicing social distancing, as there are thousands of miles between Torpedo and I. And we're just kind of rolling around the Discord watching to make sure that, we don't miss anything of value. But that's kind of it. We're kind of in the dark outside of that. Wait, where are you seeing that? Because I'm stuck in a loading screen that says waiting for players. Yeah, I don't have access to that right now. Oh, there we are! I got it! Alright, I got it. There was a third driver who was supposed to start on the softs, wasn't there? Nice. Ah. There we are. That should make it right then. And TIR Flavor is on a very interesting strategy. He is electing to start the race on hard, so keep an eye on him as this race goes on. Well, he is starting on the back row, so he may have taken advantage if other drivers end up an instant at the start. Here we are. It says the start's going to be in about 23 seconds. So typically an XRL race is supposed to start in the first 5 minutes after the hour. We are at 18 minutes after the hour. So normally we're not this far behind. And you know, I kind of wanted to watch the X2 race. Yeah, I kind of wanted to watch the X2 race, and I know Whippy does X2 racing as well, but here we are. Oh, they're doing a pace lap. I thought we didn't do those anymore. Well, they're gonna have to cope now. Don't have a lot of options, do they? Unless they want to go ahead and wait another 7 to 8 minutes trying to reset the lobby. Well, this will be interesting, though, because this means that everyone is going to have slightly warmer tires at the start. But once again, from the back to the front, Fratter's in 18th in the McLaren, TR Flavor in the AlphaTauri is going to be 17th, Pingu in the Haas is going to be 16th, Collie Boy in the Alfa Romeo 15th, Dave Vibart in the other Alfa Romeo will be 14th, Classic Love in the Red Bull will be 13th, Schold in the other Haas will be 12th, Stone Shuffle and Books in the Mercedes will be 10th and 11th, Breezy is going to be 9th in the Sol Williams, Boothie is going to be 8th in the Aston Martin, Mantic Meekrat is going to be 7th in the McLaren, 6th is going to be Constant Jet in the Alpine, Mr. Anderson has caused Aston Martin much trouble because he's only been able to start 5th, XRL Gusty is in the Honda Red Bull in 4th, Zingai in the Ferrari is going to start 3rd, Schumacher in the other Ferrari is going to start 2nd, and XRL Fiend takes home the pole today. And that will be our line through. There's your predicted pit stop strategy, a medium to hard run. And on one stop, I wonder if TIR Flavor is going to try and do that. A one stop hard to medium, though, instead of a medium to hard. It will be very interesting. Coming down to the line. One last corner to go, and then everyone will gather up. It's a perfect... Yeah. I miss having the formation lap a bit, I won't lie. Alright, well, here we are. Lights are going on. 4 lights, 5 lights. And it's lights out, and away we go. And Schumacher did not get off the line whatsoever. It's going to cause a massive shuffle behind. They're 5s, nearly 6 wide back there. There's your 8-ride race and twisted toe because the McLaren is going to make a huge dive on the inside of the Aston Martin. And the Ferrari and Schumacher has plummeted to 10th. And the Red Bull very nearly just turned Dave Ewan, who is already rocketing back up the grid. While farther up the grid, Constant Jet is going to have to hold off Zengai. And Zengai goes around the outside. And now Magic Meekrat is going to follow through as Fiend is walking off with it. There is a AlphaTauri that's gone off the circuit further back. TR Flavor has fallen to dead last at the moment. And the soft-tired cars are on 5th and 6th right now. As at the front, Mr. Anderson is a full 2 seconds away from Fiend. Fiend is doing everything he can to run away. Gusty is on the fight back against the Aston Martin as they round the hairpin onto the back straightaway now in Sector 2. has gone way off there in the second to last corner, and that's going to be a yellow in Sector 3, but not an overall yellow for the race itself. I'll be interested to hear what he has to say about that, but we are staying under green position. Oh, this is a mess! Pingu is caught up to this massive group of cars that are all over the place. Dave Ewart, Breezy, Pingu is there, and there goes Pingu on a huge dive on the outside. And Plastic Love is coming into the party right now. Plastic Love, go ahead, include your audio. What happened that took you out of the race on the first lap there?
Difficult coming around. It's coming down to the hairpin. I kind of lost a little bit, lost position to books. I was trying to find him to turn 10. Coming around turn 10, I was behind him, and I took the curve a little too much, and I just spun straight into the wall.
It's an absolute terrible thing to see that happen. Do you think your teammate, though, can rebound and get 8 decent points for Red Bull today?
Oh, absolutely. He had a good quality. Started 4th, I'm sure. So, I'm sure he got points.
Alright, it's an absolute travesty to see that happen to you, but thanks for going ahead and sharing your opinions as well.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Alright, and now we once again turn our focus on the racetrack itself. Fiend has opened up a relatively healthy gap on Mr. Anderson, but the game says it's not right. Mr. Anderson is not a full lap behind Fiend. I want to make that very clear right now. This game is so esports ready right now that it seems to think that Fiend is a lap faster. The good news for Breezy, though, is that it doesn't look like he's taken damage in that scenario, at least. That's Breezy! No, that is Concentrate, you're right. I called that wrong. Too many blue cars on the track. He's not the only one, though! One of the Haas's, that's Pingu, who's had another off just about 300 meters down the road. And for TIR Flavor, this is great because he's gone from dead last to 11th just by speeding slow enough to avoid everyone else's mistakes. Collie Boy, using the softs that he started the race on, has caught the back of Schumacher as he's also completely overtaken on Boothie. I'll be interested to see if the Alpha has the ability to pass the Ferrari and then stay ahead of him once the softs start falling off. One driver who I thought would be a little bit closer to the front, though, would be Mantic Meatrat. He has nothing but clean air in front of him. Well, that's not really true, but he's got 3.5 seconds worth of clean air in front of him, but he doesn't seem to be closing that quickly on the medium-equipped tired cars ahead of him. It's Pingu again, with a massive amount of front wing damage. Oh, that Mercedes has nowhere to go! Wow! had an accident the same way that Pingu did. Oh, and it's right in front of the Alpine! There's no way for the Alpine to go! Also, while that was going on, Mr. Anderson got by your pole sitter XRL Fiend, so we now have a new leader. Fiend is within DRS range of Mr. Anderson. He may make another shot to try and get back into the lead here. Stone Shuffle is going to end up going a lap down because of having to double pit in the first 5 laps. I shouldn't use the term double pit. That's actually supposed to refer to something else. To having to pit twice in the first 5 laps. Here comes Fiend. He pulls up right beneath the rear bumper of the Aston Martin. He goes to the outside. He's having trouble putting the power down. Oh, and Fiend goes around at second place on the run downhill. And Fiend ends up right in the middle of the battle, but amongst the Ferraris and the Alpha was having, so that's just made that section of the track even more difficult. Fiend is gonna let these guys go. He actually needs to fight. Zengai sees the opportunity. He overtakes Schumacher, and now Zengai's gonna try and go after Fiend down the back straightaway. Oh, and Fiend's gone off again! He's just cleared right off the circuit. He kept the car from spinning out, but he went really wide. He makes a little bit of contact with Zengai, and the run down the final straightaway now. Collie Boy will have DRS on Schumacher. Schumacher will have DRS on Fiend. Fiend has DRS on Zengai. So Fiend is not done yet. He may have gone around, but he wants to start salvaging and salvaging now. Here comes Ferrari. It's going to be 3 wide nearly as they go under braking into turn number 1. And the Alpine's going to do the crossover move on the inside. Can't make it sick though in the following corner. The Ferrari is sideways just in front of him. The Alpine may have one more shot at it. If not for the fact that he does not have DRS on the second straightaway, he has to use his everything to keep the Ferrari behind him. And he's going to let the Ferrari ahead stay in that position. Collie Boy is still desperately trying to find a way by, but those soft tires will begin falling off in another lap or so. He needs to make his move forward now. Oh, Zengai just went right into the back of Fiend and then pushed Fiend right into the back of Schumacher. And I think, yes, Fiend now has front wing damage on that car. Oh, and another contact, and that's Collie Boy. Collie Boy just had his entire front wing ripped off. And I don't know how he did, but he kept that thing from spinning in one of the most dangerous corners on the track. But now he has no choice. He will have to pit. He's driving that number 69 car for a reason. It has been a very nice day. He's been slow enough to avoid everyone else's access. And Books has a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. Books was in 8th position and was most likely to catch Flavor, but now he's going to have to pit, well, drive through, and that's going to cost him a bunch in time. Oh, and there goes Pingu! Oh, and Mr. Anderson very nearly hits him. Gusty nearly hits him. Meatcraft's going to have to swerve to avoid him as well. And his teammate Shoal's gonna come by and see him. I wonder what Pingu is gonna have to say about that race. About that there. Books is not elected to make a stop yet. He seems to think he can get by either Fiend or Flavor before they make the stop, as Fiend is trying to fight back against Flavor right now. Flavor is not even going to really put up a strong fight. He will let both of those cars go because he knows that he doesn't really have to fight them right now. He is just in a race of his own, trying to make it to the end as best as he can. Also of note, Stone Shuffle has caught Breezy. So that will be interesting to watch. Oh, and Flavor has just I jinxed it. Flavor has now had a spin going downhill in Sector 2. He's not hit anything, though. Antic Meatrat is coming in, and he's taking off his soft tire compounds. It's still a position, and it still has pride involved. Stone Shuffle's still behind Breezy, but not quite close enough to do anything. I think Breezy has just been a much faster driver in a single lap. It's just Breezy's problem has been he's lacking consistency. We've seen him having numerous spin outs throughout qualifying and the race itself. Oh, and Dave is out! And he was so confident that he could recover. He was so confident that he could recover in the race itself. But it's in the same area. I think it's probably the same thing that happened to him in qualifying. Indeed, that's what it looks like. Books is now finally coming in to serve his drive-through penalty. And that will let Collie Boy sneak by, and I think Fratters might also be able to get by Books as well. Flavor's not close enough to get back by Books, yeah. Again, it was only a drive-through, so... But again, Flavor is on a much different strategy from everyone else. He is on hards and will just make those hards last as long as he can and just make a single solitary stop later. He might still be able to get 10th by the time this race is over, especially with how chaotic and insane this thing has been. Well, Gusty is currently in second, but he's trying to hold off the Alpine of, I believe that, no, yeah, Gusty's in the Red Bull. The Alpine is Constant Jet. Yeah, Constant Jet's trying to get by Gusty because Constant Jet seems to believe he's faster than the Honda. Oh, it's Breezy. Well, now the gaps between everyone have increased to 2 seconds or more. Mantic Meatrat, interestingly enough, when he came in to make a stop, he didn't put on mediums. He put on another set of soft tires. So he's not going to make it to the end. He is going to be required to make a stop and put on a different set of tires later in this race. But he seems to think that he can just use pace advantage to run down most of the field. And right now, he's going after Scholl, who's in 5th. Wow, Scholl got on the brakes a little bit quicker than Meatrat was expecting, but now Meatrat is going to try and complete this overtake on the straight. Wasn't able to quite do it. So he's going to have DRS, though, on the following straight. He does complete it in the corner, though, so he's actually going to be able to utilize the DRS to get farther away from Scholl down the straight. Not the best way you can make an overtake work on that section of the racetrack. Yeah, you're 100% right, and 5 of our top 6 drivers have yet to make their first stop of the day. And I imagine Scholl, Boothie, Schumacher, Gusty, and Anderson, they're going to try and go as long as they can on the medium so they can throw on the softs and just make a hard charge on the softs for like the last 10 laps of the race, if possible. A little bit earlier than I anticipated him doing it, so I have to wonder maybe he's going to go medium hards, because we're not even halfway through the race yet. Yes, that's exactly what he's going to do, medium hards. Boothie stays out. So now the Aston Martins are first and second, but there's a 22-second gap between Mr. Anderson and Boothie right now. So for all intents and purposes, I think Mr. Anderson has this race won unless we get a safety car that bunches the field up. Or something happens and Mr. Anderson gets involved in someone else's instant. We've seen that happen several times already. Meatrat just muscled by Boothie. The soft tires still paying Meatrat good benefits. But again, he will the thing is, Meatrat will have to pit again to put on another set of tires, so he's going to lose time. Also, this will help Boothie just a bit because now Boothie will have the DRS of his teammate, Mr. Anderson. For a little bit, if he doesn't nearly spin out, he very nearly lost it coming out of turn 4 there. But Boothie, if he can get close in a little bit on Mr. Anderson, he can use the DRS to drag him a little bit longer through this race, come in, and instead of jumping onto hards, he could instead elect to throw on softs later in the event. Right now, we're just past the halfway point of the race. Right now, I think this race is still Mr. Anderson's to win, because even though Boothie will have the ability to come into the pits and throw on soft tires, I don't think with those soft tires, he'll have enough laps to make up the gap to his teammate, Mr. Anderson. And although Mantic Meatrat is currently in the lead, he has done one stint on the softs, he's on a second stint on the softs right now, and he will have to pit for a stint on the mediums at best before this race is over. Unless he thinks there's going to be rain, which I highly, highly doubt. So, yeah, I think right now it's Mr. Anderson's victory. And Boothie has actually abandoned the stop, so Boothie has come in and he's put on hard tires. Again, I would have... Oh, Collie Boy's gone around! Collie Boy has gone around on the downhill bits of Sector 2. He's back underway now, behind Boothie, though. The fight for the lead isn't really over. Mantic Meatrat continues to stay in the DRS zone of Mr. Anderson. Fratters. I can't blame him. It was getting to the point where he ran the risk of being a hazard on the racetrack. And here comes Meatrat. He's coming to the pits now, and he'll probably use this as the chance to go ahead and put on a different set of tires. But he's going to fall way back. I think he's going to fall back there with Boothie and Schold, in fact. Yep, mediums. That battle, as this race goes on, will continue to go in Schultz's favor, as Collie Boy is on a softer tire compound that is way older. Collie Boy knows it, though, and he's being very aggressive on the fight back. Looks outside, looks inside. He has the inside line for now, going into turn 4. But it's still going to be the Haas, or is it? It is going to be the Haas. TIR Flavor right now is the only driver who's still on the same set of tires they started the race on. If there was a full course yellow, he would be in a great position because he could go ahead, jump in, throw on some softs, and potentially cruise back up through the field. As it is right now, it looks like he's going to be out of the points. He has no pace in that AlphaTauri right now. Collie Boy's just gotten back by Schold on the last straightaway, but now Schold will have DRS on the front stretch and can use that as a cutback. What's the decision? When's he going to make the move? To the inside. Neck and neck down the straight. Going into turn 1. Easy overtake by Schold, but now Collie Boy will be fighting back on the second straightaway. A little bit farther up, Mantic Meekrat has caught Schumacher. Meekrat is on fresher and younger tires than the Ferrari, so this battle should work out in his favor if he doesn't make any mistakes. Well, Constant Jet has a faster tire compound, so he may be in the right to go ahead and just keep turning laps and try and open up a gap against Mr. Anderson. If he's going to be faster than the leader, then there's no need for him to pull over. And I got everyone's hopes up too much because he's going to pull over regardless. Schumacher taking an interesting line down that final straightaway. It's let Meekrat go around the outside. So now the McLaren takes the top spot, but now Schumacher will have DRS on the McLaren on the straight. That didn't work out. It actually ends up being the McLaren who had DRS. But the Ferrari is still right underneath, and he will have DRS in the following straight. Also, the gap between Mantic, Meekrat, and Gusty is still 13-12. Actually, a little less than 13 seconds. He's actually closing in slowly on Gusty and Fiend while fighting Schumacher. So, Meekrat, I don't think he'll catch second and third, but if the tires for second and third place fall off, he might have a podium in the works. Farther back in the grid, it looks like the battle between Schold and Collie Boy has pretty much dissolved to Collie Boy just trying to keep up with Schold and use the DRS to preserve his car. But here's the thing though, Books is farther behind with even older tires, and he's still closing on Collie Boy. So Books is trying to recover from that drive-through penalty earlier. He might still be able to get an 8th place out of this. This will be interesting to watch for Fiend because there's only about 8 laps left in this race. And Fiend will have tires way better than Schumacher and Meekrat, but I don't think he'll have time to catch either of them. He might be able to catch Schumacher up the last 2 laps, but I don't know if he'd be able to overtake him in that time either. It's just not worked out at all for him. Fiend might be in serious contention for fastest lap of the day, honestly. He is flying right now. He actually might catch Schumacher faster than I was anticipating him to. He's already cut the gap between himself and Schumacher down to 4.4 seconds. Oh, but here comes Stone Shuffle. Lap traffic coming out of pits right in front of him. He's going to get held up. That's not going to work in his favor. All right, Stone Shuffle's nice enough to move out of the way real quickly, so it won't hold him up that much, though. Guy is going to slip by both of them, and we'll get back into the points paying positions in 8th. You'd think he would pit for softs by now. You're race leader. Well, good thing he had 20 seconds of advantage over Gussie, but that's going to evaporate pretty significantly. Yes, trimmed down to 6.3 seconds. 6 seconds. A little bit less than 6 seconds, actually. He can't afford to make a mistake like that again. Well, Fratters will be happy to see that, because that means it's going to be easier for Fratters to stay on the lead lap. Fiend, fastest lap of the race, 127.563, and Fiend is also about to catch Schumacher. Fiend is within 3/4 of a second of Schumacher. The gap between Fresh Sauce versus Warren Behards is very, very evident now. I think Fiend might be able to overtake Schumacher on that short back straightaway in Sector 2. Oh, they made contact! To try and get a dive against the Alpine going down into turn 1. Again, we're in the final 6 laps of the event, so these are all 4 positions here. Oh, hello, Kenzie. If you want to, you can go ahead and include your video. I'd be fine with that. I'm guessing X1 is already over. Well, right now we're watching a shocking battle right now between an Alpine driver and a Ferrari driver for 4th and 5th. And the more interesting thing, our race leader, Mr. Anderson, went off circuit a few laps ago. And ever since then, his pace has completely collapsed. Oh, and Fratters has gone around again. this will put Fratters a lap down, and Gusty is closing rapidly on Mr. Anderson. We could be looking at a repeat of the finish that real-life Formula 1 saw this year at Bahrain, because Gusty is closing in. He's only about 2 seconds, maybe even less than that, at the line, and we only have 5 laps left in the event right now. And indeed, Mr. Anderson, the game is saying that he has been disconnected still, so that's only going to pay more in Gusty's favor, because the AI is not going to have a good defense against a proper driver. Fiend has gotten back by Schumacher, but Schumacher with a dive on the inside, they make a little bit of contact in the apex of the corner. And it's still going to be Fiend, but Schumacher will have DRS on the second straightaway. He opens up that rear wing, he looks to the inside, and they contact, and a humongous, a Romain Grosjean crash right on that second straightaway. A massive shot, and that's a virtual safety car. And the other driver who's going to be livid at that is going to be Gusty, because Gusty is now going to have even less time to try and overtake the Aston Martin. That VSC came in the last 5 laps of the race. Alright, that virtual safety car ended in less than a lap, so the damage is not going to be too bad. Gusty went ahead and actually expanded the gap just a little bit to perfectly verify he wasn't going to get penalized for ignoring the VSC. He's already closed it back down to less than 2 seconds. It's 1.7 at the line now. Needs to do it cleanly, and the Red Bull needs to make sure he doesn't get a time penalty as well while making this overtake. The gap between first and second is now less than a second, so Gusty will have DRS on Mr. Anderson on the short back straightaway. I don't think he'll get the overtake there. I think Gusty will likely get the overtake on Anderson on the front stretch on the following lap. Gusty is right there behind Mr. Anderson. Again, Mr. Anderson is still controlled by an AI. It's not a proper driver in that fade. Gusty with a great run coming down this straightaway. Mr. Anderson, the AI is cutting over. He'll defend the inside. He'll leave Gusty pinched on the outside. The Red Bull has to back out, but now he has a good run on the main straightaway with DRS side by side at the line. AI versus human. I think the answer is going to be obvious, as XRL Gusty is easily going to take the top spot over Mr. Anderson. That shouldn't be the case. If you can't get back in this session, you can't really do anything about it, especially with how glitchy this game is. I think that's probably more of a game issue than it would be a personal issue, but... Another battle is going on in 5th and 6th. Boothie and Schultz. Schultz has older tires, but both of them are still within a prime operating window. It's all going to come down to track position, DRS strategy, and then another battle going on a little bit further back is Collie Boy has recovered back into 10th in the points, and now he's trying to see what he can do against the Ferrari of Schumacher here. tempted to say we would have given it the TIR flavor. He had probably the best strategy of the day. Just run the hards from the start all the way to the last 10 laps, then jump onto some softs. But he just had no pace to back that strategy up, and that's why he's out of the points. I think Gussie might be in the best position for driver of the day, simply because despite falling way off the pace of the leaders early on, he just kept with it, and it's ended up paying off and getting him back into the front. Another driver who could get it might be Schold. He's been able to... Oh, and Schumacher just got fastest lap there. 1:27.280. Hey, so Mr. Anderson, the battle for a win's not over. Mr. Anderson has rejoined and he's closed the gap back up. They're coming to the white flag. Yeah, they're coming to the white flag now, and Mr. Anderson is within 3/4 of Gussie. He has DRS on the straightaway. Gussie comes down low to deny Anderson the draft on the straightaway. But Anderson is already now within half a second. He's going to have DRS on the following straight. I think for Mr. Anderson, though, he's going to have to muscle his way by Gussie somewhere in Sector 2. Otherwise, it's going to be a Red Bull victory. If Anderson can recover from the disconnect and pull off a win, it would be amazing. Gap opens up once more on the downhill sections in Sector 2, as it naturally would. Unless Gussie blows the final corner like Mr. Anderson did earlier, this is Gussie's victory. And the machine ends up working against the man. I'm running out of Matrix references to make for Mr. Anderson, but it's not going to be a Matrix reference for the win. It's going to be a Red Bull victory for XRL Gussie, doing what Verstappen couldn't do in the season opener. And Manic Meatbrat will come home second. He actually ends up ahead of Mr. Anderson somehow. I'm guessing because of penalties, I must not have noticed. Fiend is going to come around in fourth. Now, he has time penalties against him, but he's also 10 seconds ahead of Boothie. So I think Fiend will still hold on to that position without issue. Here comes Boothie around the final corners right now with Schold right behind him. Schold doesn't really have a chance to make a move against Boothie, so Boothie will comfortably finish from 5th, and then Schold will be 6th. Books, recovering from a drive-through penalty, will come home in the 7th position, so a good job on his part. And then Schumacher, with the fastest lap of the day, is going to come home in 8th, but he's going to be frustrated because it honestly should have been a 4th or 5th place finish. In all reality, Collie Boy actually slipped by Zengai in the closing laps, so he will take home a 9th place finish. Zengai will finish in 10th, and that will be everybody as far as we have to finish multiple laps down here. But your winner is XRL Gussie at Bahrain in the season opener. A very chaotic race. I'm honestly shocked we only saw 2 virtual safety cars. Frankly, with all the accidents we saw today, we should have seen probably 5 full course yellows. Right now, everyone's on the cooldown lap. Across the line here, and then the race will be over. No, the race is still not over. Okay. That's fine, game. We absolutely have all this time to waste, I guess. That's fine. Alright, well, either way, we're going to try and go ahead and invite Gussie into the party to hear what our race winner has to say about a very dramatic win here in the season opener. Come on, let me find Gussie's name. Where is it? There it is. What the heck? It just says Fratters leapfrogged over constant get tier flavor and stone shuffle. There's no way that actually happened. Yeah, that's... I don't... How? No, it's not even remotely the case. Alright, there he is. Bizarro. The race still isn't over. We're at the time remaining 0-0-1. It won't end the race. I don't know what is wrong here. What is... Codemasters, what are you doing? What are you doing, Step Codemasters? Or sure, at this point, maybe at this point I should say, what are you doing, Step EA? Alright, I kind of would like to wrap up the broadcast game. I'm going to try and invite Gusty in one more time, but if he doesn't respond, we'll probably just go ahead and start closing up the broadcast as everyone continues to circle the track mindlessly in the most retarded way possible. I don't... okay, well, anyways, a very interesting opening race, a dramatic amount of incidents in Q1, Q2, and Q3 for DNFs across all of them, and then not to mention at least half a dozen spins independent of that in each section alone. And there we are, the race is finally over. Wow, come on, Codemasters. You don't need to keep playing Internet Explorer now, do you? Alright, well, the game thinks Collie Boy gets driver of the day. I could see that, I don't know. It's a lot more up in the air. I'm not going to claim to know, but there is your race winner, XRL Gusty. Stuck with it and was able to bring home the victory for Red Bull. Will also take home the points lead, which will be a nice benefit for him as we get started in the season proper. After a very, very chaotic week. Okay, oh, and X2 is going to be starting shortly also. So a lot of these drivers are going to be rushing to get to that. In fact, yeah, X2 I think is supposed to start in what, 50 minutes or so? Alright, well, in that case, we might as well start wrapping up the broadcast here. Kenzie, I do want to say thanks for going ahead and jumping in, but really, thanks to Torpedo for sticking with throughout the entire day, really helping to back things up, getting people in, noticing things that I didn't notice. It's a lot harder to do broadcasts without a second person, I'll say that very much, so it is highly, highly appreciated. Very interesting and extreme event today, but it is time to start wrapping up the broadcast. Unless anyone else has anything of value they want to add, it is time to close this thing down. I need to rest my voice very badly. Alright, well, this has been XRL X3. XRL is back, everyone. In a week's time, you can catch us for our next race. Dev will be on Saturday at 5 p.m. UK time. XRL will go through maybe their first race of the season, maybe the last test race. We don't know yet for sure, certain, at 8 p.m. UK time. And then next Sunday at 5 p.m. UK time on the main channel will be X1. On the old channel, the one you've been watching today, it will be X3. And then in about 45 minutes from now on the main count will be X2, and then a week and 45 minutes from now will be the X2 race as well. I've been Saint Leader 13, been going through out this race by XRL Torpedo, and the last closing minutes of the race by Kenzie Retro. We'll be looking forward to you guys then. Until then, farewell.